What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Weekend Roundup here on Touchline Talk. Thank you so much for listening. As always, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the content going up on the channel. Only two things I'm going to touch on today. Keep it pretty short here. First, that Liverpool Spurs game. 6-3 it ends, goals galore. I don't have too much to say on the Tottenham side of this just because it's the same stuff that I have been saying. Talked about this after the Chelsea game, that if you're going to be that stubborn, this is just part of the consequences of that. You're going to get ripped to pieces sometimes when you're that aggressive, when you play that high of a line, when you don't do anything pragmatic. And you're also gonna win 4-1 and 5-1 sometimes and look great. You're gonna be on the right end of it, the wrong end of it, and this is obviously who Ange Postecoglou is. It's up to Spurs to decide whether this is good enough and how long they're willing to continue with it. I don't necessarily think the answer is firing him and giving up on this now, but this is what is going to happen if they are not going to evolve in any way, shape, or form and show no willingness to not even compromise your principles, but just adapt to game situations. So I want to spend the time here on the Liverpool side of this. The big takeaway for me here is this is the kind of game, putting up 6 goals, looking that good. I mean, it could have been 7 or 8 very easily against a vulnerable team that invites you to go attack them because they're going to attack you, but a big 6 club with really talented players, right? Putting up 6 goals on Spurs is a really good indicator that you're probably out of your bad stretch. Of course, there's no guarantee. I mean, I said this about Manchester United after the derby. Who knows what that win actually means? And now here they are looking like the same Manchester United team because nothing structurally and culturally has changed. So I don't really have too much to add on that game either. But going back to the Liverpool part of this. When you see this kind of performance, when you see their attack clicking this way, off of the back of what has been their shakiest stretch of the season, that is a really, really good sign. Of course, it doesn't guarantee anything. But there was always going to be, the phrase I'm using is rough patch, right? They weren't going to just keep flying and everything be hunky-dory from start to finish. They're not that good. The rest of the league is too good. This is not some kind of all-time juggernaut that is absolutely untouchable, and there are a lot of really, really good teams with really good players in the Premier League, obviously. It's the best league in the world. So there was going to be a stretch where Liverpool struggled. The question was, how long was it going to be, and what does struggling actually mean? Does it mean dropping some points here or there, or does it mean losing 3 in a row and having 1 win in 5, or being where Manchester City are right now, where they basically can't win a game? And is it 3 games, 5 games, 10 games, a month? You know, what is the time frame on that? And so you look at, before those back-to-back draws, they had dropped 5 points. 1 draw, 1 loss. Then you've got that game against Newcastle that you could really spin either way because they came from behind. It's not objectively, just in a vacuum, a point at St. James's Park is not bad. You also were seconds away from winning. So you can look at it as, okay, it's a good point, it's 2 drop points, so it's a disappointing point. You can really spin that one whatever direction you want. What I said after the Fulham game is that there is no, you can spin this however you want. That is a really good point because of the context of the game and the situation. You're down, you come back, do it again, playing down a man to get a point. Those 2 games are just not that big of a deal in and of themselves. Those are the kinds of things you're going to have somebody sent off at some point. Whether it's Newcastle, whether it's Brighton, whether it's Bournemouth, whether it's Brentford, Manchester United, any of these teams that you know are dangerous, but are also not teams you're looking at as title contenders, they're going to cause you some problems sometimes. They're tough places to play. So the fact that Liverpool came away from that with 2 points, didn't lose either of those games, and then came into this game still in this shaky kind of how long is this going to last? Are they sort of falling off? Right? All those questions for the first time this season. And to just thump Spurs this way is a really, really good sign. Now, could they come out and lose their next two? Sure. Considering that the next opponent is Leicester on Boxing Day, I don't expect that to happen. But if this game looks like Liverpool's back, if that is the case, and this was your bad stretch of the season, where you dropped 4 points, you didn't lose, you actually had a lot of positives to take away from both of those games anyway, even if, okay, defensively, they've been a little bit shaky here. They gave a couple goals late to Spurs. If that is you at your most disappointing this season, they're going to win the league, and they're probably going to win the league comfortably because nobody can match that kind of level. Now, this could also be a precursor to, again, maybe they go and lose 3 or 5 somewhere down the line. But this is what we have to go on right now. And they encountered their first rough patch of the season. This game looks like they have successfully navigated it, with still being in complete control of the league. Chelsea dropped points. They are in perfect position still. They didn't really do any kind of significant damage to their title hopes. If this is the worst it's going to be, they are just a class above everybody else. And it's also a credit to them for being able to navigate it and for snapping it. Because that's the other part of this is they didn't let it snowball. Again, assuming that they go back to looking like the team we saw for the first couple months of the season. No guarantees. But that was what I came away from this game thinking about was Liverpool looks like themselves again. If that is in fact the case, if this is the end of this little slump that they're in, you stopped it from turning into a true slump where you're just struggling for weeks on end. You look like you don't have answers. You got to recalibrate the expectations a little bit and how you evaluate things because there is no 100-point Manchester City. There's not even a 90-point Manchester City this season. Maybe Liverpool is that team. They're certainly putting themselves in a position to be. But they're not competing with that. And so we're back to a world where draws aren't the end of the world. Getting points away from home isn't a bad thing sometimes, as long as it doesn't happen too often. It's not 3 points or bust. And you're seeing that with Liverpool and the way they're being able to navigate this 6-3 win over Spurs to get back on track. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quickly, I haven't mentioned this too much and specifically have not mentioned this team, but there's a new leader in La Liga. It is Atletico Madrid. They beat Barcelona in the Diego Simeone special where they don't do anything. Barcelona completely dominates the game, goes ahead, and yet somehow, some way, they find a way to equalize and then score a late winner through Alexander Sorloth. Get the win. I believe that's 12 wins in a row now across all competitions. They're back in a good spot in the Champions League. And it wasn't they were fine in La Liga. They had a rough start to the Champions League. So there just hasn't been, there was some noise in the summer, and I'll get to that next. But there just hasn't been a real reason to talk about them all that much this season. It's been about Barcelona's really good start, what Barcelona did to Real Madrid picking up a little bit and turning this back into a title challenge. And all of a sudden, the team that looks the best in Spain is Atletico Madrid. Now, I really thought Barcelona were not going to fall off this dramatically. It seems I'm wrong on that. Again, this is a flawed Real Madrid team that do not show up every week. This is a Barcelona team that is not as good player to player as they were playing this earlier this season, and doesn't look like they can keep that up. So this title is up for grabs. And this is a season, and I wrote about this in 5 Things from the Week when they got these deals for Conor Gallagher and Julian Alvarez over the line. But I haven't really talked about it on video, so I wanted to take a minute here because this is one of the biggest developments of the weekend, one of the biggest games of the weekend, obviously. When Diego Simeone has a team with the talent level to at least stay in the ballpark of Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? It happens every once in a while. They bring back Antoine Griezmann, or they get the big splash in the summer, right? They hadn't done that the past couple years, making these big moves. João Felix, right? Every once in a while, they kind of go all in on this, and then a couple seasons go by. They're not fun to play against. They never fall apart in La Liga. They're kind of up and down. They usually do okay in the Champions League, but they don't really make deep runs. They just kind of get there and are difficult to play against. But when he has these teams, every once in a while, where you feel like, just on paper, the way they are playing, they might be the best team in the league, or they're right there in contention. They go to a Champions League final. They win the league. They make a run at winning the league. They do something really special. You feel like he gets the most out of the players that he has, and when you give him a team that can do something, he makes it happen. And I brought that point up at the beginning of the season because you look at these players, you look at what they brought in. Those are two really, really good players in Conor Gallagher and Julian Alvarez. And here they are, and it's happening again. Can they keep it up? Who knows? But if I bought Barcelona early, I feel like I got to buy this too, because I'm even more confident in this. This is just kind of what happens. It's what makes Diego Simeone so good. And the other part of this is they've got the formula, right? This game was exactly what you expect from Atletico Madrid. Defensively rugged, just bend but don't break. Give themselves a chance. They find a way to make it happen. But before this, in this winning streak, they had this stretch where they were scoring 3+ goals a game. And that has the vibes of the last time they won the title, when they were still good defensively, but what changed is they were more dynamic in attack. They've got big-time attackers on this team. And so I was expecting this team to be really good this season. Didn't start out that way, but they have figured it out. And here they are sitting atop of La Liga. And like I said before, when it's time, when he has the investment, the backing, the squad, the talent he needs, Diego Simeone usually goes and does something special. I am expecting, sure looks like, that is going to happen again. Atletico Madrid on top of La Liga, looking pretty good in the Champions League as well. That is all for the weekend roundup. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.